Morning, guys. All set for the day. I'm zettovyker. Welcome back to another See Something Awesome. Let's play Katawa Shoujo. Whatever. I'm just gonna figure that out. Um, what is this again? Hanako story. Hide and seek. Let's go. I put my door closed, ready for another day of classes. Sleep well. Kenji's sudden arrival makes me jump, and Larry avoid butting heads with him. I know he has poor eyesight, but he knows who I am now. Does he still have to sound this close? Oh, yeah, like a baby. Damn, why do people say that? Do you ever heard of baby? You ever heard of baby sleep? They scream all night, every night. Babies will sleep well, ever. Well, there goes my restful sleep. I have to remember to never use figures of speech with Kenji. Alright, I get your point. It was a figure of speech. Yeah, sure, whatever. Where were you last night? I had a favor to ask you, but you weren't around. For a split second, I considered telling Kenji the truth. That was spending the time with Hanako and Lily. Thankfully, the split second passes as soon as it came. I was just out, checking out the local area and stuff. You know, recon. Good man. I knew you were the type to plan ahead. Anyway, what was this favor you wanted? I was going to get some takeout, but I needed change. What? I gave you money last week and you still haven't paid me back. I was starting to think you were cool. Kenji fishes around his pocket and produces his wallet. He counts out the 400 yen he owes me, and clearly, I can see at least two 10,000 yen notes. Hey, what the hell? Are you borrowing money off me when you got that much cash? Kenji hisses a little, realizing that he's been had. Get off my case, man. It's bad luck to break a big note for anything less than half its value. It's the tycoon's rule. Last night's dinner was going to cost me 7 years of bad luck. 7 years! Don't you think that's enough to help someone out? I'd get a shorter sentence if I stole the stuff. My common sense screams to me to say something to him, but thankfully, I've ashamed myself. Good. You're a strong man, he saw. Arguing the point like this with Kenji will just lead to further and more complicated discussions. Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe you should plan these things a little better. Yeah, man, I know. But I've just had so much stuff to do. It's hard. And you're never around anymore, so I'm on my own. We're supposed to be brothers and brotherhood, remember? Yeah, I get you. Global conspiracies and such. I'll keep my eardrum to the ground. Kenji draws close enough for me to get a clear whiff of his garlic-tainted breath. Ugh. You better, man. You're already spending less time here. That's the first thing they do. They're trying to split us up. It's a Brian Cocker. Sun Tzu said that. Roger that. Now I've got to get going. I've got classes. You coming? Nah, I'm tired. I stayed up all night trying to make sure nothing was going to happen after splitting that note. As rational as ever, I see. Whatever. Night. Kenji scurries back into his room, and I hear him throwing his locks as I walk down the hallway. Oh, Kenji. And that's why some people can't roll their tongues, or why second toe is larger than a bigger toe. Mitchell seems beams a half-moon smile at us, obviously proud of his explanation of recessive genes. No matter how impressive he is in the sciences that defines who we are, the classroom seems to be reduced to a stupor. Why is that a bad experience can make the most interesting thing seem worthless? I can see Muto deflate as he realizes that nothing he says in the past half hour has sunk in. Whispered conversations start to break the silence. Like an avalanche, the noise levels of the class starts to rise. Deafened, Muto identifies some questions in the next textbooks and begins clearing off the blackboard. Almost as if expected, Hanako picks up her things and leaves as soon as people start walking around, laughing among themselves. The initial shock of seeing someone play so blatantly truant has started to fade, but it doesn't stop me from wondering. Is she leaving because she doesn't want people to speak to her? Or is it just that the thought of people around her is shattering her peace? Before I can think about the topic any further, the lunch bell rings. I wonder if she was simply taking the opportunity to leave early. The usual clamor of students exchanging books for lunch reverberates around the room. While Misha is distracted, I grab my lunch and head out the door. Ninja vanish. Lily already sits in the tea room, sitting out her lunch alone. So, Hanako's not here then? Oh, Hisao, how are you? I haven't met Hanako since this morning, I'm afraid. That's right, Hanako and Lily live next to each other. However, I think their morning conversations are slightly more grounded than Kenji's ramblings. That's strange. She left class early, so I figured she'd come here. So she's leaving class early. Huh? Yeah, I've seen her do it a few times. Lily drops her head a little. Her tone of voice is notably depressed. It's very reminiscent of someone who's used to hearing bad news. I was so sure she stopped doing that once you two became friends. Everyone has their own place, I suppose. Well, I was just wondering about that today. Why exactly does she leave? Not entirely sure myself. I personally think it's because she doesn't want to be put in a situation where she has to answer to someone. I have a flashback my first meeting with her. Then I thought she looked like a cornered animal. Maybe it wasn't far from the truth. But it seems she's doing fine talking to you, and with me. A bit. It's a little more complex than that. I imagine that the first thing most people ask about her is her scars, and what happened. She really talks about it with me, but I can get to tell she doesn't like to remember it, whatever happened back then. Leaving class and running away from discussions is a preemptive strike, if you will. Soka. Huh. So then, how does that explain her talking to me? You said it yourself yesterday at breakfast. You tried to ignore her scars. When she saw that you weren't going to ask her about that, she opened herself up to you. I guess you're right. Maybe, I don't know. You know her better than I do, so I'll take your word for it. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sure you'll come to know her as well as I do soon enough. I welcome the prospect of her having a new friend, and the two of you have such similar interests. Well, I only caught reading a book as a team sport, so it's good to have company, though. That's my point. Hanako's still an average person at heart, so she also wants company at times like that. Huh, I see. I think, to be honest, both of you still confuse me a little. That's only natural, Hisa. We've only known each other for a little while. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us, just as we can't understand you. But that is half the fun of becoming friends, right? Yes. Yes, it is. Although, I suppose there's a matter of us being opposite genders. Men and women do seem to confuse each other quite often. True facts! She says with a little giggle, finding amusement at the odd little details of life. True facts. No lie. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start eating. No, go ahead. I think I'll eat something too. I've had some books and I want to drop back at the library before class, so I'm better gonna move on. You'd probably find Hanako there as well. If you do see her, can you just stop by my room later tonight? I'd like to talk to her. You're not coming? Unfortunately, I have a class representative meeting later, so I'll be gone as soon as I finish my lunch. Okay then. If I don't see her in the library, then I'll tell her in class. I'm sure she'll be back after lunch. We fall silent as we start to eat. I take a second to reflect on our conversation. It's always thought that Hanako's shyness was simply due to her being self-conscious of her scars. But that is pretty superficial that but that is a pretty superficial way of looking at her. Just when I thought I was able to see through the fog of Lily and Hanako, I realized that I'm more lost than when I was started. Lily quickly finishes her lunch, accurately aware of her meeting. I don't blame her. Acutely aware, my fault. Shizune is most likely going to be there, and I doubt she wants to give in the satisfaction of another argument. I must be off. Same time tomorrow? Same time, same channel. I better head off too. I don't want to risk being late. Oh, Hisa, you're so classy. Lily smiles gently, picks up her cane and walks out into the hall. I turn my head back on Lily as we head in opposite directions. For some reason, I find myself hoping she doesn't get into another fight with Shizune. As much as I like Lily, Shizune and Misha have been pretty instrumental in helping me adjust, even if half of our conversations are thinly veiled recruitment attempts. Then again, I barely know either of them. Maybe they were previously leaders of some kind of secret society, but their love for each other that drove them apart. Man, I need to stop reading cheap fiction. It's rotting my brain. Either that, or I've got to move away from Kenji and this bad influence. It's sad that I can't really tell the two apart anymore. I slam my books down from the return chute, and they crash into the cart with a pleasant thud. Whoa. Yuko, however, doesn't seem as impressed as I. Hey, so you scared me. Sorry. I thought you would be used to that by now. Or is the literacy level here so low that nobody borrows any books? Huh? No, I think everyone here can read fine. Yeah, never mind. There are some battles that you can never win. Trying to explain jokes is one of them. My dad taught me that the hard way. Say, Yuko, you haven't seen Hanako about. She left class early and she wasn't in her usual hiding place. I think I saw her sneak in before lunch. Oh, but I'm not supposed to tell anyone that. I just tell you that I saw her leave. No need to stress out. Oh, of course. She's probably in the back. Thanks. Get any new books in recently? Oh, sorry. I'll let you know when we do, though. Okay. If there's one thing I know about librarians, part-time or otherwise, is that they appreciate people that take a genuine interest in their work. I walk up the now familiar path to Hanako's reading nook, picking out a few titles along the way. Sometimes I find it hard to discover a book that will interest me among the shelves. An author's name and a two-word title don't mean much to see as similar words. For that reason, I sometimes reread books that I've read in the past. Better to bet on the favorite than on a new runner. A little bit true. An unfamiliar title from a familiar author peeks out from the spines of its neighbors, so I remove it from the shelf. At least, I'm not going over old material. As expected, Hanako sits on a beanbag, buried deep into a copy of Dance, Dance, Dance. Hey Hanako, how's it going? I fought back the urge to ask why she left class early. If Lily's suspicions were right, then ask her about that could have the opposite effect. Best to leave it for the time being. Sometimes the best way to get an answer from someone is to never ask the question. Hello, Hisa. I'm fine. Something seems off. After a couple seconds, I realize what it is. Hanako's smiling. She looks as though she's pleased to see me. It's a nice change from the usual, instinctively frightened reaction, and something I hope I can see more of as we get to know each other better. Good to hear. How's that book? How's the trip? It's good, I think. It's only been started, just started, so I don't really know. Fair enough. Let me know how it goes. Let me want to borrow it once you're done. Sure. There's a good 15 minutes left in lunch. Not enough to really get into a book, but too much to stand around doing nothing. And Hanako's already returned to her reading, so I doubt I'll get too much conversation from her. Oh well, I better make myself comfortable. I slouch into a beanbag and crack open my book. The familiar style of the author leaps out to me from the very first line. As the sentence turns into paragraphs, I start to relax a little. But no matter how I try, I can't seem to get myself into the atmosphere of the book. This is probably due to the lack of time, but the more distracting factor is Hanako. Every 10 or so seconds, she peers over the top of the book. When our eyes meet, she quickly ducks behind the covers. I guess she did want to talk about something after all. What's up? You look like a prairie dog on lookout. It's nothing. I've told you before. Nothing means something when you say it like that. Hanako squirms a little in her beanbag, hoping that by changing her position, she'll find the word she's looking for. I was in an accident. Accident? Just now? Are you alright? Hanako shakes her head, her hair flowing around her shoulders and wisps of amethyst on the background of pale and dark flesh. No. When I was younger... Realizing crashes to me like a semi. When I was... It's alright, Hanako. You don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to. Again, she shakes her head. No, I have to tell you. When I was young, I was in a fire. My house burned down, and I nearly didn't make it. After that, I was alone. Hanako's eyes glisten in the dim light of the library, and I reach out to grasp her hand. It's okay, Hanako. You don't have to keep going. But I have to. Why? What brought this on? The last night, Lily told me about your heart, and I didn't think it was fair. Fair? That I knew about you, but you didn't know about me. I squeezed Hanako's hand a little. Don't be silly. But yes, I have a heart condition. I leaned a little closer to Hanako. What I didn't tell Lily is that I had my first heart attack when a girl confessed to me. A little smile. I smile a little to break the tension. Really? Really. I haven't heard from her in a while though, so I guess it's all over. I know it's all over. There's no other way to interpret what happened the last time I saw her. In some ways, not having heard from her again has helped me move on from that period of my life. So now, we both know a little more about each other. But you don't have to talk about things if you don't want to. In fact, I feel a little bad even thinking about the whole accident. I can almost smell the hospital disinfectant burning the back of my sinuses again. Ugh. I imagine Hanako is going through the same thing right now. When I was in the hospital, I went to the burn ward once, and only once. I was bored, so I went for a walk through all of the wards. I went through the oncology, and I thought I could take it. But when I got to the burn ward, I turned around and went back to my bed. To think that Hanako has spent months in a place like that, smelling nothing but corrupted skin, strong disinfectant, and sterilized air. The really bad cases were kept in isolated pods that no foreign objects could enter. That would have meant no reading. I would have gone insane if I didn't have my books in the hospital. And she said she was alone. Did her parents die? I'll have to ask Lily about it. I can imagine myself saying something dumb unintentionally. Thank you, Hisa. I haven't told many people about this. To be honest, I haven't told many people about my circumstances either. Then I won't tell anyone either. Deal. I changed my grip on Hanako's hand into a handshake as the warning bells chime through the window. Well then, we better head back to class then, eh? Sure. Act 3. Castling. Hope you guys like this video. If you guys like it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe below if you want to see that story. I'll see you guys next time. Good night. Oh, well, never mind. Well, yeah, I mean, damn it. We'll cut it here, folks. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment below if you have any comments or suggestions. If you want me to read using voices, or if you want me to remember whose voices to use, whatever. Subscribe if you definitely want to see the rest of the Hanako story. And I'll see you guys next time.